Today on Nerd and Normal, passwords are now a necessity, but is there a better option to keep your account secure? Also, the Australian social media ban and what it means for you.
Welcome to Nerd and Normal with Matthew and Gareth, opening your mind to the world of technology. So let's get started.
Well, Matthew, it's nice to see you once again, and today you've made a very good point. Security is paramount. Once upon a time, when I used to write letters and send telegrams, we didn't need passwords, we didn't need... Fishing was a thing that you did when you went to the ocean with the rod, but now it's everywhere. How important really is security in this 21st century with PCs and phones, watches that talk to you?
That's a good question, Gareth. Actually, quite a good one, because security is the be-all and end-all now. Because up to you, as the individual, to make sure you're as safe as you possibly can be and locking all of your security features down by using something that's safe and secure. And at this stage, for many, many years now, it's been passwords. But these days, technology is trying to move on and move towards something different. Passwords are no longer enough. And so we've been slowly moving towards what they call two-factor or second factor of authentication. You get those messages, you get the text messages saying this 6-digit number, put this in. This is the second factor of authentication you use, the first being your email address and your password, and now the numbers. And that system works reasonably well.
Okay, let me just ask a question about passwords. I have a very long password, and when I go to a new site and they ask to insert your password, they give you one. And it's usually a combination of letters and numbers and symbols, etc., and it's about 95 kilometres long. How do you remember that if you then accept it? When you come back to going into that website again and it's insert your password, I wouldn't have the foggiest what it was.
No, the problem is that's been created by the program you're using, whether you're using Chrome on the computer, using Safari on the phone, or you're using another program at all. These days, when you go to create an account, the program wants to make a password for you and then save that to itself, to the program, to the device you're actually using, which is all well and good for that one program, that one device. But you then get yourself a new computer or a new phone, trying to get back onto that website again.
And you're lost.
You don't know the password, that's right. So this is where people say, use a password manager, let the program work out the password for you, and then it saves it to the password manager and saves on the internet, so you can log into this password manager and it saves all your passwords and gives them on different devices, different programs, all communicate together. But that leads to the next big problem with these password managers is, yes, you have hundreds of different long, complicated passwords with your account, but all of these password managers on the internet, which means they themselves are a security risk.
Okay, well, I've just opened up my phone, and on my phone there is an app called Passwords. Now, I've looked at it, and it says it's yes, all the things I have, like Netflix and YouTube and blah, 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 blah. All the passwords are listed, but I've sometimes changed those passwords and it's still showing the old one, and then I'm lost.
Yep.
So what's the point of having a password saver on your phone which doesn't save the passwords that are most recent?
It saves the passwords the phone knows, but the problem is you then go and change the passwords on your computer and they don't communicate. There's no communication there at all. If you were to have an Apple computer, it would be able to see those same passwords. If you've got an Apple phone, for example, if you change your passwords for, say, Netflix on the Apple computer, it then will save that new modified password to the Apple phone as well. But that's, again, using one of those password managers. And that means that the Apple iCloud system that has these passwords is what they call a honeypot. It's what the hackers want to get. They want to get into these honeypots and find all the people's passwords that are on there. And it's actually been a case of, in 2022, LastPass, which is one of these password managers, was compromised. In 2023, both Norton and OnePass were both compromised with passwords in their password managers actually stolen. So, while, it makes it easy to have one program running all your passwords over multiple devices and multiple other programs, they become a target. And hackers know they exist and will target them.
Okay, well, let's then just step through some of the different systems, not in any order. Let's start with the passkey. And I believe the passkey uses cryptographic key pairs. What does that mean, and how secure is it?
So cryptographic.
What?
Exactly right. It's hard to say.
Yes,
So
it's all that.
they are roughly 64 characters of uppercase, lowercase numbers that are created. One is created on your phone or device. The other one's created by the website. And they've both got to sync up. Not be the same, but sync up using all the algorithmic bits and pieces that they use. The problem with this is, it means there's no password needed. But I've been lately seeing with my own customers in the last couple of weeks where there's certain providers of email services to large numbers of Australians that unfortunately have been used with that provider for a long, long time, been tricked into organising a passkey, and as part of that organising of the passkey, they turn off the person's password. So the person no longer got access to their emails because their email account has no password, has a passkey only. So a passkey does mean no requirement for a password to memorise, but a passkey is linked to one device. It's linked to your phone or the computer when you first set up that passkey. If your phone dies, you run over it with a bus for some reason, or it's on the computer and Windows dies, you've just lost your passkey. You've just lost every access to your account, and trying to jump through hoops to get into the account again can be an absolute nightmare.
So does that mean don't use passkeys or what?
At this point in time, my recommendation to everyone is do not use passkeys. When a website comes up saying, we can streamline this and you can sign in with your face or your fingerprint, that's terminology that's being tricking you into going with a passkey, which again, can turn off your password, can cause you more grief than it's worth. There's actually cases I've faced recently where Microsoft's tricked people into setting up passkeys on their old phone. They've gone to get a brand new phone. They don't have access to the old phone, so they can't use the passkey.
Yeah.
They've forgotten their password because they haven't used it for a long, long time. It then takes them over a month to get back into their email account.
Okay. You just said something, you used a term a moment ago that I didn't feel was linked to a passkey. You talked about Face ID. Now, on my mobile phone, most of my apps use face identification. If it's me, it's fine. Some use a touch ID with your thumb or finger on the pad, and I believe some even use voice ID. But are you saying not safe?
No, well, those are safe. So that's with your phone using the fingerprint or the face scanner. That's using your face or your fingerprint to replace the PIN on your phone. When you turn the phone on, it asks you, if it's not your face, it asks you for the PIN. That Face ID at that stage is just replacing that PIN, replacing the need for it. The PIN's still there, but replaces the need for it in your case.
So wouldn't that be the safest of all kind of security to log in anyway, identifying in your face? I mean, thank goodness no one has this face who would want this face, but isn't it the safest of all?
The faces for radio, they're useful on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
They?
I knew you'd bring up radio. Let's just get to the question. How safe? Is it the safest of all?
So having these things tricking like this, saying that you can use your fingerprint or your face to get into your emails or the website, that's not saying your phone's record for your face or your fingerprint to replace the PIN on your phone. That instead is saying, we're going to use your face and your fingerprint from your phone instead of having a password. It becomes complicated. It sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. It's actually putting a pass key onto your phone that your phone can unlock with the purposes of using it with either your face, your PIN, or your fingerprint. It is still a pass key, but it's using the phone's ability to authenticate you through one of those three things.
Okay. You talked a little moment ago about hackers and looking for the honeypot, being able to delve into a passkey and then get access to all those passwords. Surely a Face ID, a hacker can't, or can a hacker use your own face to get into your product?
So when it comes to the hackers are looking for, they're not looking for pass keys, they're looking for those password managers and their databases of passwords. Can a hacker get into your devices? It has been shown that yes, they can. There are ways and means of duplicating fingerprints and making 3D printed things that are your face that have managed to fool phones in the past. Things are getting better, but there is no foolproof solution. If a hacker wants to go after you, they're going to get you.
Yeah, you might recall last week when we spoke to David Elliott, the Minister for Police and Terrorism, etc. He said that with Face ID, some time ago, he had a problem and he burned his face and he couldn't get in because the face on the phone couldn't identify it as as him. So if that surely suggests a degree of protection that is way beyond anything else.
It is getting better, but again, while that's getting better at recognizing when you are or aren't yourself, the problem is so too are the ability for 3D scans, 3D printing. It is getting better, and it will get to the point where it's going to be harder and harder for these devices to recognize you and not think that a mask or a 3D printed thing of your head is you.
Okay, two-factor authentication. That's not the same as a pass key, is it?
No, this is where you get those messages sent to your phone, whether it be an email or a text message, or actually years ago, which I really liked. There were certain banks in the country that actually had the little device they gave to their customers that randomized numbers roughly I think it was every hour it changed. And that was, in those cases, there was no phone involved, there was no email involved, it was a device that had random numbers that generated. They were given to their customers, and that was the second form of authentication. This predates the whole text messages and authenticator apps. It was a perfect system. Unfortunately, it cost the banks money.
Okay, I wonder why that doesn't exist anymore. So with two-factor authentication, are we going up as it now mean that is more secure than a passkey or more applicable than a passkey?
This is where the confusion starts. So two-factor authentication, or they call these days, you see it everywhere, is 2FA. That is more secure than just the password, because that is, you need to have your email address or a username, your password, and then this other thing to let you in. Passkeys are the more recent thing, where that links all of your login details. There's no reason for a password. There's no reason for a second factor authentication, because it links your account details, your security details, with a certain device.
Yeah, once upon a time, I can recall being asked, we just want to check that you are who you are. What is your mother's name? What is your pet's name? What sport did you like at school? What school did you go to? As another form of question. So is that an early form of two-factor authentication?
It was, but the problem is with the fact that your details are now everywhere. Your mother's maiden name was on their systems.
Yeah.
Those systems are compromised. Those details are now everywhere, and unfortunately, there's no turning back, so they can't be used anymore.
All right. What about getting a security system that is phishing resistant? Is there such a thing? Is that possible?
The problem with phishing is
you better explain what phishing is. I know what it is. It's catching something I'm going to have for dinner.
That's right. You have a target, you go and catch it. It's the same with phishing. Phishing is where you get emails, phone calls, text messages that pretend that they're somebody else, somebody who you actually deal with, trying to get your login details or you to agree to give them the details they want to have.
Right, okay.
So usually they throw out a whole range of text messages, phone calls, emails to a whole range of different people in the hope that somebody clicks on the link or gives the details back in a reply in an email to their login details.
Is clicking on the link, surely there's more involved, but just clicking on the link, does that automatically then give them some access to everything?
It can, depending on what the link goes to. So I've been looking into the Telstra Big Pond email phishing system for well over 2 years now. And in that time, I've seen it evolve. So it's gone from just asking, you click on the link, it's just a simple web page saying, what's your email address, what's your password? And then it changed to, click on the link, what's your email, what's your password, what's the 6 numbers we just gave you for your account to let us in? And now it's changed to, it's now asking you for your email, your password, and those 6 numbers. But in the background, it's checking your computer to get other details off your computer. So it tries to find what your details are for other websites. Or it saves what they call open session IDs. So websites you've been to, you've logged into, that you haven't signed out from, it can save those off your computer and send it to the hackers trying to get into your computer and your system. So that is phishing, but there's something even more scary. There's spear phishing. So phishing is just hoping you get something. Spear phishing is you literally target an individual fish. It's the same with this. It's where a hacker has decided you're their target and they're going to pull every stop out and they're going to trick you and spear you to get what they want to try and get out of you.
So bottom line is you do what to make yourself...
No matter who you are. I've seen actual security experts fall for phishing scams. No matter who you are, always you get an email, phone call, text message. I don't care what it is. You stop and you think, I don't care, you can be in the hospital with your leg half cut off. It doesn't matter, it can wait. You stop, you think, you give yourself some time to plan. Is this legitimate, or does it actually need my attention quickly?
Yeah, okay. What is a hardware security key?
So that's the perfect solution. That would be what you want to try and do, where you can actually buy these USBs that plug into your computer, and they have a code attached to them. And that code can be verified by a lot of websites to say, yes, you are who you say you are. It's another form of this two-factor authentication. You still need a username, still need a password, but it means that the second form of authentication is an actual hardware thing you can plug into your computer.
You're going to have to explain that again.
So you, instead of having to have a text message sent to you, their website says, is your device plugged in? This little USB stick. It's literally only probably around about this big. I'll just show. It's literally the size of a USB stick. You plug that into the computer, and the website can see that USB stick plugged in. And it says, yep, I can see that's you because it's plugged into your computer.
So the person you're talking to can identify the USB stick.
Not the person, but the website can, because it's got a program in there that allows it to find that USB stick somewhere on your computer, yes.
Which website?
Whatever website's using. There's not many using them these days because they're all moving off those USB sticks to other things, unless they're things like Microsoft corporate websites. They're the ones that usually focus on those things now.
What about app-based double
I know
protection?
What you mean. So that's the things like the Microsoft Authenticator and the Google Authenticator. I had the I wouldn't say pleasure of moving from my old iPhone SE 2022 to the new iPhone 17 recently, and in the past
You've got money.
I got lucky.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I had the displeasure in the past of moving between phones, and having to move the Google Authenticator things from the old phone to the new phone required opening up both phones, opening up both Authenticator apps, taking a shot of the QR code it creates, and blah. It just goes on and on and on. These days, it transferred across without me doing anything. It was amazingly quick and amazingly easy, and it means that I now have the ability, instead of getting a text message from, say, Microsoft or anybody else that's in my Google Authenticator app, it says, go into the app and give us the 6 numbers. I go into it, and there's 6 numbers waiting for me. Because there have been times where you've had, say, MyGov is a fine example. It says, we're going to send you an email with 6 numbers, give us those numbers. 10 minutes later, the email finally turns up. This is immediate.
Well, when I use MyGov, password and email, no problem. And then another thing pops up, and I've got a choice to click on send me the authentication numbers to my phone, to my whatever. It gives me a choice. So I always click phone because it's instantaneous. And yes, it is instantaneous. And the moment I put those numbers in, I get into the section of MyGov that I want. Bang, done, no problem.
The only problem is when you're in an area with no mobile phone reception, you can't use the phone. That's the reason why these things, doesn't matter what time of day it is, whether you've got reception or not, they work perfectly every time. Text messages aren't always there. And for our viewers over in America and other places that still have the 3G mobile phone networks in operation, their mobile phone text messages can be compromised. Someone else can actually steal the text messages before you get them. Here in Australia, there is no 3G, unfortunately, as we spoke about last week, and so our SMSs are completely safe and secure here now.
Now, from the 10th of December, you're happy with security?
I think we've explained pretty well. At the end of the day, please, people, do not even think about passkeys. At this point in time, until they get things worked out, stick with your passwords, stick with two-factor authentication, stick with your text messages, and don't use password managers. Get a physical book and write it in the book.
Yeah, okay. Well, which is exactly what I do because I'm normal and silly. From the 10th of December this year, many social media platforms are not going to be allowed to ask Australians who are under the age of 16. So that means, I would imagine, Facebook, Instagram, Kik, Reddit, Snapchat, Threads, TikTok, Twitch, what was Twitter, now X, thanks to Mr. Trump, and YouTube, not going to be allowed to be used by young people.
Yep.
Good idea, bad idea?
For me, I'm not a big fan of this. Why should the government step in and tell people what we can and can't do? For me, I've got 2 younger children, and they've never used social media at all. Now, I'm not going to tell people how to parent your kids. Parenting is one of the hardest things you ever do in your life. But at the end of the day, you're a parent. You should be parenting your children, not giving them a device, saying, here, off you go and watch this stuff and just talk to your friends and hope for the best.
As a person who once upon a time was a secondary school teacher and now teaching university people, if the protection, I would argue, if the protection of youth online is the goal of the government in Australia, whatever colour that government happens to be, shouldn't those same shouldn't those same legislators be prioritising digital literacy education within the classroom?
I don't think it's the classrooms and the schools' jobs, to be honest. It's the parents' jobs. At the end of the day, parents are supposed to teach their children how to behave, how to live in society, and I believe that should also be part of the parents' responsibility. But the problem is the parents themselves have not been taught that because there's been no one to teach them. They've just been thrown into this world of technology without any guidance, and unfortunately it's grown bigger and further reaching than ever thought it would ever do.
Look, without meaning to sound cruel, you are not a typical parent, and I hope I am not a typical parent or now grandparent, but social media has been at the centre for young people of youth suicide increment, of bullying daily, and unless you have the phone of the special phone that we spoke to your friend about, who works on Macquarie on Channel 9 radio, unless you have that phone, most parents, again, you're not typical, most parents aren't you. A lot of parents will give in to the temptation to allow their child to have the phone. If the child gets the phone and the ban is implemented, what's to stop the child accessing those things? Are they going to say, all right, let's have some security devices whereby the child has to enter information about himself or herself and a photo of himself or herself, but then that becomes accessible by all those people who want to get access to young people. So, where's the education start? Not just with the parent, surely.
No, the problem is this has even happened in the first place. I've been facing issues, and just to take a side step away from Australia for a second, I know that in the European Union, the UK and the US, legislation has been passed recently that requires the companies, Microsoft and other large tech companies, to validate people's age before they're given full access to the accounts. So this has been an ongoing issue now for a while. This is just we've gone the furthest in this country. The problem that you face is the issue of personal information is now paramount to everything. People can try and scam people as much as they possibly can with trying to get their date of birth, their name, their address, their photos, their credit card details, their government ID, all these sort of things people want all the time. At this point in time, it's private. But with this legislation going to be kicking off from the 10th of December, if it does not get stopped by the High Court, which is currently happening right now. Yeah,
well, they're looking at it, yeah.
Yes. That means that the different websites, the Facebooks, the Instagram, the Reddits, they've got to have a way to better validate somebody's age. They cannot force them. They cannot force them to use a government ID. They must have more than just that to validate somebody's age. That can be using facial recognition, because of course our faces age with us. But there's been times where I've seen the tests that they ran for the last 12 months where people who were under the age of 16 were said to be over the age of 16, and those who were over the age of 16 were said to be under the age of 16. So there's no fine sort of thing to do it that way. They're also going to be looking at what the websites that computers been onto. But again, adults use the same computers their kids use, so the devices can't be a valid way of doing it. So education of the individuals into what to share and how to make sure the information is safe is difficult, and it comes down to the information being given by the government as to how this is going to work and how to keep yourself safe isn't coming through properly.
Well, just to step away from what you do with your children, how do you protect a child of a person who is not you? In other words, how do you protect a child whose parent is not you and isn't prepared to try and teach the person at home what is right and what is wrong?
So
how do you protect that child?
This is difficult. So going back a long time, I was at high school and I went to TAFE as part of our weekly thing. And there was a boy that went to TAFE with us from another school, and he committed suicide due to him being bullied at his normal school.
Yep.
There was a case that when that happened, because he knew that the staff at my school that I went to knew that he was going to TAFE with some kids from our school, and so they came into the classroom. They said, "This boy has committed suicide," and they didn't say who might know and who might know him, but they just walked out of the room. If someone is going to commit suicide, please call Lifeline first. First and foremost, get help. It's not worth dying over. Second thing is bullying's been around for a long, long time. It's down to the all parents should make sure that if their child's being bullied at school, they get help. If the child is doing the bullying at help, they should bring the child in and try and calm the child down and stop it. The issue comes down to beforehand when I was at school and also when you were at school, the bullying stopped at the school gate. You got home, it was a safe environment. These days, thanks to social media and technology, there is no
safe spot.
No. So at the end of the day, there's no educating families or parents or children how to get around this problem other than to say, please, if you have issues like that, seek help, but also maybe it's time to take the devices away at certain times of the day and let talking actually win.
Matthew, I fully support your position, except the generalisation all parents should isn't true. All parents aren't like you. There is a large percentage of parents who are not that way skilled at parenting and knowing when to intervene with social media, when to get the child help if the child is being bullying. A lot of parents, both parents or single parents, they're working. They've got things to do through the day to fulfill and meet the needs to actually have a home for their child and food for the child to eat. It's a monumental effort on the part of the government they've undertaken to try and protect. In other words, the government is trying to be the all parents. Now, look, there are things, and I agree with you 100%, there are things about the social media ban I don't support. For example, you shouldn't exclude young people from legitimate social, educational programs that they can access online. And if you're going to restrict what their phone or their computer can or cannot do, surely you're denying them access to what every adult has access to. And I'm not suggesting porn sites, I'm not suggesting those kinds of sites, but it's part of what the world we live in. The technology we have now is the world we have now. So there must be other ways other than saying all parents should do something, because all parents won't. We still therefore need to protect that child.
I think we've gone too far with social media. Because doing a blanket ban like the government's trying to do makes it difficult for parents to learn. Because the parent has to learn and the child has to learn. At the end of the day, if you're not learning, if you're not taking the time to get there and find out the facts about this, to give you some idea, there is a government website's being created about the social media ban that's put in place. It is updated on a regular basis, and it's updated as rules change. Rules are currently still changing as to what's going to be banned and what's not going to get banned. They don't have it all planned out yet. You can't implement changes, help parents, help kids, help teachers to explain things to the kids and help them through it if you haven't got everything in place yet. It's been rushed through too quickly and not planned properly. Like they've been doing a lot of things technology. You end up with, to put it bluntly, you end up with a lot of older people who are in government and running the government and the opposition as well, who don't understand technology. They have people who have ulterior motives coming into their offices, telling them to do this, that and the other, who never have the time to actually sit down and think about things properly and the consequences of their actions and how they affect people around the world. Not just people, but businesses as well. The amount of money going into Facebook right now, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch. You have things like Reddit. You have GitHub, which is not affected at this stage. They're big businesses. They're multi-billion-dollar businesses spending money to implement things that they don't know and can't guarantee are going to work. instead of taking the time just to slowly work it out and plan it, they've rushed this thing through. And can I just point out one more thing? It's kicking off on the 10th of December. School holiday starts for a lot of schools around that time as well. So you're going to have kids off from school who have been able to use Facebook and TikTok and Instagram for years that are, let's say, addicted to it. They're going to be on school holidays for 8 to 10 weeks and can't use it.
Well, I would suggest from the 11th of December, those same children will still use it because you've actually got to implement it and actually have a mechanism by which the ban works.
The issue is going to come down to, though, it takes really one person to say, hey, this person's account there, they're a child. And that's $49.5 million fine for the business involved, the platform involved.
How much?
$49 million.
So in other words, if I'm 15 and I access YouTube on the 11th of December, YouTube could have that fine implemented but who's going to take them to court? Who is actually going to be the person that says this is a 15-year-old, you're being fined because you've given them access?
So anyone can get there and register a complaint with the e-safety commissioner, who will then take that platform to court.
Okay, in a sentence, or in a yes or no, do you support the media social ban?
No.
You don't?
I do not.
Now, in a sentence, why?
For me, it comes down to it's going too far, too fast, too early. Plan it, implement it properly, work out a way to make it work for everyone. And in a way that is fair, and in a way that makes sure that if your personal information is required to prove your age, it's all safe. At this point in time, I can see things being compromised left, right, and centre.
Okay, I'll give you a practical example in a completely different area. There's a ferry that runs from Victoria to Tasmania, backwards and forwards, each and every day. They've just rebuilt the ferry. They've made an updated, beautiful-looking ferry. But they didn't make a port in Tasmania capable of taking that ferry. So at the moment, the ferry is sitting off the coast of Victoria, not being able to go backwards and forwards. They're still using the old ferry. So what you're saying is, make it work, get everything in place before you implement it. So therefore, you do agree with the social ban if all of those things have been put into place?
Yes, if things are done properly, I support it 100%. But at this point in time, it's been rushed too far, too fast, and no, I don't support it.
What's our topic next week?
I actually don't know. How about people
There
get there and
go.
let us know?
Well,
leave us a comment.
I would love. You see, Matthew and I sit here and we love chatting with you. We really do love chatting with you, but we want you to help us. Tell us, do the like, do the share, and tell all your friends about us, but also tell us what you'd like us to cover, because we can't work without you. This is the only form of social media on which there will be no ban, whatever your age.
You can always get us either here on YouTube, or you can get us through your favourite podcast software, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We're on everything right now. And on Facebook. We're on Facebook too. Don't forget to subscribe. That's the big thing. That way you get the episodes as soon as they're released.
Okay. The nerd and the normal want your company. The nerd may be banned by next week, but hey, if he's banned, I'm out. See you next week, Matthew.
See you, Gareth. I got my little Yoda and my little E.T. Phone home.
This could be a bad start.
Hey, hang on, look. Phone home. E.T. Get back up there.
I can't, it's an apple. I don't use Apple. On our planet, we only use Samsung.